Long Beach marks the start of the sprint portion of IMSA's calendar. With only 100 minutes on the clock, and it being so difficult to pass around the tight confines of this street circuit, desperation dominates the action, both on track and in the pit lane. Pipo Derani enters the race, coming off a massive crash in the previous round. But despite an unexpected warm embrace from the barriers in qualifying, Pipo Derani stormed to pole position in his number 31 Wheel & Engineering Cadillac, as he and the team looked to put their woes from Sebring behind them. Lining up just behind him on the grid is the number 25 BMW of Nick Yellowly, with the number 6 Porsche of Nick Tandy back in 4th position just behind the 01 Cadillac of Sebastian Bourdais. So, as Pipo Derani pulls away from the grid and bump starts that beautiful V8 engine, it's early advantage to he and the 31 crew. But converting that pole position to victory will require excellent traffic management, precise strategy, and a rapid pit stop. So, as Derani leads the field to green, all of their competitors will be looking for some opportunity to overtake the 31 car and reach that top step of the podium. Derani slams the throttle as the green flag flies, and the field accelerates their way down Shoreline Drive. Nick Yellowly gets a slightly slow start and has Bourdais and Tandy hounding him as they head into the braking zone for turn 1. Bourdais goes up the inside of the 25 BMW, and Tandy tries to sneak past as well, but they make contact at the apex. Tandy has to lift off, though, as they make their way through the single-file fountain turn. Just up ahead, though, Derani has a nice clear of track in front of him as he heads into the tricky turn 5, which has an off-camber exit. We can see that Bourdais just ahead slides the rear as he makes his way through that tricky corner and heads into turn 6. The 25 BMW of Yellowly, though, is all over these two Cadillacs, not letting them get away, as he has a little slide himself coming out of turn 6, trying to hustle the car back over to the left-hand side for turn 8. Narrowly missing that wall on the apex, and we are back aboard Derani's car as he screams his way down Seaside Way and heads into the corner that he crashed at in qualifying, but navigates it a bit more easily this time. Back aboard the number 6 Porsche of Nick Tandy, and we can see these top 4 are all together as they pile their way into the hairpin. Barely a paper's width between these cars, and Tandy slides the rear as he tries to accelerate out of that tight corner back onto the front straight one more time. We can see how challenging passing is going to be at this track, though, because it's difficult enough just navigating the course by yourself, but then trying to move and make an overtake offline is going to be so challenging for the GTP drivers. But with less than 10 minutes into the race, they have already started encountering GTD traffic, and Bourdais is stuck behind the Flying Lizard Aston Martin, which allows the BMW and the number 6 Porsche of Nick Tandy to stay close to that 01 Cadillac. Bourdais looks up the inside into turn 5, but just isn't able to complete the move. It's a little bit awkward between the two cars. Yellowly is now all over the back of Bourdais, with Tandy looking to the inside of Nick Yellowly as well, heading into turn 6. Yellowly defends, but that compromises his exit. Tandy has the better run coming out of the corner and is alongside the BMW into turn 8, but on the outside line, Yellowly holds the position. Tandy tries to put the power down coming out of the corner, but slides the rear and has to fall in behind that 25 BMW one more time. Heading into turn 1, there is more traffic ahead of Bourdais. As he tries to sneak past the number 13 AWA Corvette, he is not able to do so and has to fall in behind as they make their way through the famed fountain corner. He looks up the inside of the Corvette, who leaves him room at the apex, and Yellowly sneaks by as well as they make the short shoot up to turn 5. Lapping on this track requires a lot of respect, not only from the prototypes, but also from the GT cars, as Bourdais looks at the inside of Sheena Monk and the Acura, who leaves a ton of space for Bourdais at the apex. But with his exit compromised, Yellowly looks around the outside of Bourdais into turn 8, but just isn't able to put the power down on that outside line, and Bourdais holds the position on this number 25 BMW. As Tandy flies down this front straight one more time, we start to see that it's going to take something dramatic happening to allow one of these GTP cars to overtake the other, because even just traffic alone sometimes isn't enough. Through the fountain turn, and these three are coming up quickly on the number 70 McLaren of Brandon Arieb. Going through turn 5, he loses the rear and makes heavy contact with the wall. The BMW and Cadillac go to the right to try to avoid this accident, and Tandy stays on the left, gets a better exit, overtakes the BMW, and looks around the outside of Bourdais' 01 Cadillac. Through turn 6, Bourdais just squeezes him and holds a position that gives Yelly the better exit than number 6 Porsche. They are side by side into turn 8. The BMW on that outside less grippy line though can't put the power down. Tandy gets the better exit and has the inside line as they head into turn 9. Tandy uses his leverage over that BMW to gain the position as they make their way through turn 10 and into the hairpin. That was gutsy driving from Nick Tandy. And as the yellow flags wave for Brandon Arieb's incident, the number 6 Porsche now holds a podium position. So, with the safety car out on track, that is bad news for Durrani, who had started to edge away from the rest of the field in that green flag running. So, as Durrani brings the field to the restart, he is once again going to have to put in a massive effort to escape the clutches of these GTP contenders behind. Once again, about 10 minutes into this green flag stint, these GTP leaders are already catching up to GTD traffic. And as he heads into turn 1, Nick Tandy has this 13 AWA Corvette just in front of him. And as they twist and wind their way through this first sector, he is not going to be able to overtake this number 13 car. This leads to a critical moment in the race because these teams only need to make one pit stop here at Long Beach. And with these GTP cars, they can make it over an hour around this tight street circuit on one tank of fuel. So at this point, you start to wonder, when is the right time to make that pit stop? Do you come in early and try to avoid this GTD traffic? Or do you stay out late and try to pump in fast laps on hot tires? Down Seaside Way, Nick Tandy breezes past number 66 Acura and brakes late heading into turn 9, as we can just see the 2 Cadillacs out in front are also caught up in GTD traffic. Heading into turn 10, Tandy has to settle in behind this number 12 GTD Lexus as they barely crawl their way through that tight corner. Coming onto the front straight, Tandy sweeps to the right-hand side into the pit lane as the Porsche team chooses now to make their pit stop. Tandy pulls into his box, hits his marks as the team springs over the wall to bolt on a fresh set of left side tires. He is already out of the car and Jaminet is getting bolted in as the tires get bolted on. With both belts on, he is already ready to go. Door is slammed shut, just waiting on fuel, as he is now released from the pit box. An incredible pit stop from the Porsche crew, and he is already back out on track. Even though they just put on left side tires, he is going to really struggle on this outlap and is going to be losing time compared to those cars that are still on track. Coming out of the fountain corner, you can just hear that rear end sliding as there is no grip when he tries to put the power down. Heading into turn 5, he is having to be so delicate not to lose control of this car. And as Jaminet is struggling to build temperature in these tires, Durrani is hammering this number 31 car around this street circuit on his hot Michelin rubber. The only thing that can derail this strategy for this 31 crew is if they get caught behind any slow GTD or GTP cars and start hemorrhaging time to their GTP competitors. And as Durrani brakes heading into turn 1, we can see 2 GTP cars exiting the pits on the right-hand side, now a lap down to this 31 car. Through the fountain corner, we can see the number 7 Porsche as well, just ahead, who is out on cold tires. We can see how much he is struggling, though, with that number 32 GTD Mercedes faster than number 7 GTP Porsche through that sector. Durrani needs to make quick work of this Porsche to make this strategy work. Through turn 6, the 7 Porsche struggles to put the power down as Durrani easily makes it past heading into turn 8 and can breathe a sigh of relief that he was not stuck behind that Porsche on cold tires. With just over an hour left in the race, though, it is now time for Durrani to head to the pits Oh, as he almost gets into the back of that Lamborghini. A little bit of time lost on that in-lap, which is not ideal. Durrani pulls his Cadillac into the pit box and quickly gets to work, but he fumbles a bit with his seatbelt. That was not a clean exit from the car. Aitken jumps in though, but things look frantic in this pit stop. They don't look quite as cool and calm as the Porsche pit crew. The door is shut though, and Aitken peels out of the pit box. A 19-second stop for the 31 crew. Not quite as quick as the Porsche pit stop, but still insanely fast from the Whelen team, as Aitken puts the seatbelt over his Hans device and exits the pit lane, and now has to worry about warming up these freezing cold left side tires. And as Aitken navigates this first sector, we can jump back aboard the number 6 Porsche and see that he is not far behind this number 31 Cadillac. And critically, he has already built temperature into these tires. So the race is on for first position if Aitken can't quickly build temperature into his tires. Meanwhile, the 25 BMW, and if we look just ahead, the 01 Cadillac have not pitted yet. So they are looking to pump in fast laps to try to overcut the cars that have already pitted. But Yellowly is stuck behind this number 7 Porsche Felipe Nasr, who is still trying to put temperature into his Michelin tires. Into turn 9, we can see Yellowly close the gap dramatically to the black striped Porsche, and through turn 10 he does so once again. But as they make their way through the hairpin, I want you to look up the road, because there is the number 01 Cadillac heading into the pit lane. So with Yellowly still hammering on track, the 01 crew will try to get Renger van der Zande back in action as quickly as possible. Into turn 1, we can see the 24 BMW just ahead of the number 7 Porsche of Felipe Nasr, as the 25 now leads the race overall and looks to put these cars a lap down. 24 car tries to defend on Felipe Nasr but isn't able to do so, and Yellowly sneaks by as well. It's so critical that he doesn't lose time stuck behind these slower GTP and GTD cars. We can jump back aboard the number 31 of Jack Aitken, however, and I can tell you that the 01 crew did not change tires for Renger van der Zande. So as Aitken makes his way into turn 1, we can look to the right-hand side to see any sign of that 01 Cadillac. There is a 27 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, but just through turn 1 is the 01 Cadillac, making the overcut work, using those hot tires to put time in on the 31 car, who was struggling coming out of the pits on his cold Michelins. Through the short chute into turn 5, we can now see that 01 Cadillac of Renger van der Zande is clearly ahead of this 31 car. Track position is so critical at Long Beach, so this is a massive advantage for the number 01 crew. But the question remains, can he make these tires last for the entire hour and 40 minutes of this race? Or will he fall into the clutches of the cars behind as his tires begin to wear out? With the 25 BMW still yet to pit, and Nasr acting as the Minister of Defense, the safety car comes out. And this will relegate the 25 BMW to the back of the cars on the lead lap. But as they pull into the pit lane to make their obligatory pit stop, this creates an interesting moment in the race, because unlike the other pit stops that we saw today, they are not pressured to perform as quickly as possible. So they select to install 4 fresh Michelin tires, meaning that although they will re-enter the track in 5th position, they will have better tires than all of their competitors ahead of them. But obviously, to make this strategy work, De Filippi is going to have to drive like a man possessed to get past the cars in front of him. And as they head back to green, it is the number 6 Porsche up in 4th position, the 31 Cadillac up in 2nd, and that 01 Cadillac of Renger van der Zande, who locks up the brakes heading into the hairpin, up in 1st place. And as Aitken puts the power down heading down Shoreline Drive, we will wait and see if the tires will hold up on that number 01 car, or if the fresher Michelins on Aitken's will allow him to find his way past. They squeeze their way through turn 1, avoiding the wall on the right-hand side, and then clip the curbs through the fountain corner as they make their way into the double right-handers through turn 4, a quick squeeze of the throttle, and then back off again into turn 5. These top 5 are all together, and we are back aboard with De Filippi, who is trying to use these brand new Michelins to get ahead of the cars in front of him. It is a familiar sight for this 25 BMW though, directly behind that number 7 Porsche again of Felipe Nasr, who defends to the inside heading into turn 8. De Filippi looks around the outside and tries to get a better run coming out of the corner. He is firmly in the draft of that Porsche ahead as they head down Seaside Way, but can't quite close the gap as he brakes late and makes contact. Somehow, Nasr is able to regain control and keep that number 7 Porsche out of the wall as they head into the hairpin one more time. De Filippi is absolutely desperate to take advantage of these fresh tires and get ahead of that number 7 Porsche and bring this BMW onto a podium and potentially a victory. And as they head into turn 8, he looks around the outside, but then switches on Nasr, goes up the inside, narrowly avoids hitting the wall, and puts the power down. But Nasr executes a beautiful over-under and gets a better exit than De Filippi, regaining that 4th position one more time. It is as you were in the top 5, with the 01 leading, the 31 in 2nd, the number 6 in 3rd, and De Filippi stuck back in 5th position. But just up the road, on board with Aiken, they have once again caught the GTD traffic. And Aiken is hoping that this traffic will give him some opportunity to retake the top spot on the podium. Into the fountain section, and he is stuck behind this 32 Mercedes, and the 6 Porsche is directly behind. Into turn 4, and there is nowhere for Aiken to go to make an overtake on the 32 car. They both struggle to put the power down as finally Aiken can use the power of that Cadillac to get up ahead. The Mercedes closes the door on the number 6 Porsche as the 31 is now chasing down the number 01, which is trying to overtake 2 GTD cars. He has a slam on the brakes to avoid hitting him, which gives Aiken an opportunity on the exit. He is firmly in the draft of that number 01 car, but just not quite close enough to make a move into turn 9 as Van der Zande defends that inside line. Aiken is all over the rear of the 01 car, but just absolutely nowhere to go as Jaminet now looks up the outside of Aiken and gets hit from behind through the hairpin. The number 7 Porsche passes, and so does the 25 BMW. Let's jump aboard the 25 to see what happened there. Through turn 9, we can see this gaggle of GTD and GTP cars. The number 7 Porsche tries to make it past the Lamborghini, who defends, brakes too late, and hits the rear of the Porsche, with the BMW slamming into the rear of the Lamborghini to try to get past on the exit. Tough luck for Jaminet and the number 6, but he's quickly able to get that car restarted and passes that 32 Mercedes one more time. Fortunately, not too much damage aboard this number 6 Porsche, but the same cannot be said for the 25 BMW of De Filippi, which has extensive front and rear end damage. Into turn 8, De Filippi is just struggling to get that car around the track. Coming out of the exit, he pulls to the left-hand side. Jaminet overtakes him for 4th position, and it is a sad sight aboard this 25 BMW. A race that showed so much promise ends with a pileup in the hairpin. With no time left on the clock, though, we can jump back aboard the number 31 of Jack Aiken and see that he is still stuck behind the number 01. It was a valiant effort for the 31 crew coming off of a difficult Sebring, but ultimately the day belonged to the 2 tire whisperers in the number 01. The number 6 Porsche came through in 4th position just behind their teammates, who landed on the bottom step of the podium. Anyways, if you made it this far, I want to thank you so much for watching, so much for all the love, so much for all the support. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.